Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, coming to you every week from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful ice of the Galactic Empire. Join your hosts, John Mark Tolley, Garrett K. Jones, and Brian Karasik, as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore, characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. And remember, this isn't just my Star Wars, this isn't just your Star Wars, this is our Star Wars.
It worked!
Woo! Huzzah!
Well done.
Yes. Welcome, everyone, once again to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. My name is John Mark Tolley, and I'm joined today, of course, by my lovely host, Garrett K. Jones, Brian
Lovely.
Karasik,
Your less lovely host.
and, of course, joining us today, all the way from Clashing Sabers, rejoining us. She's on the show before. Amanda. Amanda, how are you today?
I am great. I am a rested teacher on summer break, so cannot complain.
Nice. So we are here to do a discussion on not just the meanings of Star Wars, but the morals, the teachings. What can Star Wars teach us through all its various different stages? And so looking at this, I think we need to start at the beginning, because I think there are major overarching messages that are found throughout almost every one of the movies. But then I think you can also go into a little bit more nuanced messages and morals and stories and in different shows and different movies. But should we start with the prequels?
We can. It's kind of an open-ended topic for discussion because there's just so much that we can pull from. Whether you're talking about moral lessons or philosophy or worldview, anything like that, there's a lot of crossover between the films. So let's start wherever.
Yeah, I think the prequels, I see it as a warning of, like, especially when you're looking at Anakin's story of, for the very beginning, Yoda says it best. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And we see that really played out with Anakin's story.
We also see it played out at the DMV too.
This is true.
That's a vile place.
But yes. Of scum and villainy?
Yes.
Definitely.
Wretched hot. Yeah. But it's also a warning because with Anakin, you have a character who loves so much. I don't think there's any doubt that everything, even his fall to the dark side, was in his mind for love.
100% predicated by his fondness for his family.
Yeah. And it's almost a warning
also his fall from the dark side, same thing.
Yeah. Kind of a warning that not to to guard yourself whenever if you do fall in love, to that people don't take advantage of that, to be because that's what Palpatine did. He took advantage of Anakin's fear and Anakin's love and his fear of losing what he loved.
So one of my favorite Jedi is Kanan from Rebels, and it's because he provides a counterpoint to this, and how one of the things that I take from Star Wars is when you have maybe relationships is a better word than attachments, but those relationships that really ground you and give you something to sacrifice for, they actually make you stronger.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of the warning especially with regards to Anakin is the warning is more of what can be done in the name of something good when you lose perspective, because like he was not like he was not the kind of person who was willing to die to himself. He was not willing to put aside his ego for the betterment of the people he cared for.
Yeah.
Like, you know, having worked in a ministry background, one of the things that has cropped up when I've officiated weddings is in the premarital counseling that I've taken those couples through. The first thing that we talk about is the idea of being humble before your spouse and going through and dying to yourself, whatever those things are that are a part of your ego, that are part of those things that you would do for yourself or on your own. That's no longer, it's an option, but it's an option that needs to be put on the back burner until it becomes a necessity again.
Yeah.
That's how successful couples have maintained marriages. That's how successful, whatever partnership you're looking at, that's how, because you have people who are they're constantly trying to be the first person to set aside their own egos.
Yeah. Well, also I think you get a really good of the dangers of living a lie. Because Anakin, everything Anakin did when it came to Padme was predicated by a lie. He had to lie to the council. She had to lie to the Senate. Everyone had to lie to each other to keep this facade going. And
on the other side of that lie, there's a caution of putting someone in a position where they have to.
Yeah. Yes.
There's no graduated scale of penalty. If Anakin couldn't come to the council and say, "Look, I, as you may be aware, am a young man, and you put me in a one-on-one situation with Natalie Portman, and things happen. So now she's pregnant and I'm in love. Like, what are we going to do now?" There is no solution to that other than you are excommunicated. And Anakin had only two experiences in his life. I am a slave. I am a Jedi. He was not able to perceive a world in which he was not a Jedi. He didn't have any basis, any foundation to understand a world in which he was not a Jedi. And since the Jedi, I have the same problem with the wizarding world of Harry Potter. If you break the rules, that's what happens. You go to Azkaban. You get kicked out of the Jedi Order. And so Anakin, seeing his entire life's ambition at risk at the cost of his wife, of course he had to live a lie because he couldn't sacrifice either one of them. The two most important things in his life were not compatible. If there had been an option, for example, for the most compassionate and empathic people in the galaxy to actually have a family, I don't understand why that was never the case. I've seen, and Amanda, I've talked to the guys about this, but work with me on this. I've seen discussions online of whether or not Jedi can have children.
Oh, they can.
There's usually a dude will say the stricture is not against having children. The stricture is against having attachments. So they just have to be a deadbeat dad. Like you just can't, or a mother, let's say you spend 9 months gestating a Jedi child, and we know from canon that there is a telepathic link between mother and child in that development, and then have the kid and be like, peace, no attachments. It just doesn't seem like a realistic scenario. If the Jedi Order had not been so strict, if they had an allowance for breaking the rules where you are penalized but not excommunicated, none of the
maybe not even breaking the rules. Like there's nuance. The world is full of nuance, but that was kind of lost at that time.
Yeah. And that's it's a hack joke debate, but like only the Sith deal in absolutes, so the Jedi are the most absolutist society in the galaxy.
Yeah, well, the joke is that comment in itself is an absolute.
Yes.
I think we all read the same memes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was identifying himself as a potential Sith Lord, and had Anakin been better attentive and better at listening, he would have been like, I see what you're getting at. Anyway.
Yeah.
Moral relativism of the Jedi.
Yes. Well, I think another, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the other elements that we see threaded throughout the prequels is the political messaging.
Yeah.
And I mean, just jumping back into the Anakin Padme side of things, like you have this essentially the power couple of the galaxy, because he's one of the top ranking Jedi. She is a very well respected, very well known senator, having been the ruler of a planet. Don't know why a 13-year, 14-year-old would be elected as queen, but whatever.
Read the Queen trilogy.
Have you heard her speak?
I've heard her speak. It's not that impressive.
It's still.
I agree with Amanda.
But
Queen trilogy.
Anyway, but
it is.
They both come from very, very polar opposite sides of the political spectrum, and it's really interesting to see how that dynamic plays into their relationship. I mean, so many times through the Clone Wars, we see it pop up in Attack of the Clones. We see it pop up again in Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin even makes a dismissive statement of leave that in the Senate where it belongs. Like their political ideologies are they're worlds apart, and it's like having a Republican and a Democrat sharing bed space, and they're very much on polar opposites of any conversation that could ever take place.
I'll take you one further. It's like having JD Vance and a Democrat have a relationship. He is spiritually, if not officially, Palpatine's second in command by the end of episode 3. The novelization has a lot of that. It deals a lot with the stress between Padme, who's building this coalition against Palpatine, and Anakin, who is Palpatine's right-hand man. And he sees that as a great betrayal. They don't delve into that enough in the movie, but in the book, there's a good amount of ink spilled on that topic of he feels betrayed by her because she goes behind his back to try to undermine Palpatine. To your point, though, Garrett, it's impossible to discuss this topic without getting political, but in Revenge of the Sith, we see Palpatine set up an other as being mysterious and unknown and already among us, and sets the entire galaxy against them due to mistrust of a religious culture that they do not understand. Based on this, he launches a war without possible end against this nameless other, which totally coincidentally happened at the dawn of the global war on terror. And that's exactly what our government did. It's just the Jedis are Muslims, and feel free to email me to discuss this, anybody listening. But I was in the military at that time watching this happen from the inside and seeing a powerful, charismatic leader present an unidentified, they look just like us, like it could be anyone. You can't trust anyone. That's the whole thing that Palpatine did with the Jedi. So it was a cautionary tale. It was a cautionary tale of believing in a charismatic leader who tells you of subjective threats that you can't verify on your own.
So the Gorman massacre was the 2001 moment of the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, kind of. There was a. I mean, I was a military recruiter on 9/11, and I saw how our posture changed after that, and that is among the reasons that I separated from service in 2002. But yeah, seeing that thing play out on the screen, it was chilling at times.
I would posit that I come at things fairly just disenfranchised voter here, so it just sort of almost neutral, but not exactly
disenfranchised.
How could I be disenfranchised?
She's a felon, guys. Watch out.
So what I love about the storytelling is that you can see it from different perspectives if you adopt a different point of view, and it can apply to almost any situation going on at any time. And it helps you identify the story and get you into it and loving it and things. So I don't see it. There's definitely direct political inspirations that are undeniable. Obviously,
Oh.
it's historically
Oh, yeah.
documented.
I mean,
Lucas-
back in the early 2000s, there was really nothing veiled about George Lucas's contempt for Bush #2. And, I mean, there's so many allusions to who was the vice president at the time.
Gore was it Gore? No, it wasn't Al Gore.
No, it was
I can't.
not
Bush
Donald
is the vice
involved.
president.
Yeah,
it was the guy who shot his buddy. But there's so many allusions to him being kind of like Palpatine in a way, and and so like it. I mean,
Cheney.
there are those things that happen.
Dick
but,
Cheney.
Yeah, thank you, Dick Cheney, who lived up to his name. But he was. There's a lot of statements made by Lucas. None of it was veiled. You could tell what kind of side of the political aisle he was on, but what he did without being overly preachy, like a lot of films are today, he made a point of integrating that into the storytelling in a way that respected the audience enough to say, hey, you may not agree with me politically, but you can see where this is leading. And I think in that kind of messaging, it was good because he was able, like, and this is where one of those moments where the prequels really hit good sci-fi, because science fiction as a genre is meant to bring us to a point of questioning the things that we hold to be true, the things that it asks us those what if questions, those hypotheticals, and what if our country was as totalitarian and that much of a dictatorship like the empire was, or how the republic was prior to it falling into being the empire. And so
stay tuned, folks. We're going to find out after these messages.
So yeah, I mean, it's been there. It's the topic is there, but it wasn't in your face about it in a way that just said, here, believe what I believe, or you're wrong.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to talk about, and since we're kind of in the topic of war, is, and I think the show Rebels really handled this well, is this not necessarily PTSD, but dealing with war veterans and how war veterans handle war. And one of the best ways I think they did this was through Chopper.
How do you figure?
Well, I was looking at, like, there's a scene where you find out that Chopper was in the Clone Wars, and you counterbalance. I was looking at the counterbalancing him in R2, because I think that's the closest analogy that you have of being similar yet so different. Where they're both obviously R2. I mean, they're both astromechs. I believe Chopper is an R3 or R4. I can't remember. And of course, R2 is an R2. They're both war veterans of the Clone Wars. They both apparently have never had their memory wiped, but yet they seem to have had completely different ways that they went through the war and that they have internalized what they went through. Chopper is your typical, I don't even know how to word this. So like R2 saw the war from the top down.
Yeah.
Like he was more
on the administrative side of things.
Yeah, and when he was fighting with one of the top Jedi generals in the Republic. Whereas Chopper saw the war in a more gritty way, and I think that affected him. I think that affected him in how he interacts with humans, how he interacts with people, and even his sense of humor. He's got more of that gallows humor to him. He's got more of that, where you can see there's scenes where, like, especially when they're Ryloth and he sees the crashed starfighter, that it's affected him and that he's going through some PTSD. He's gone through PTSD. He's gone through that sort of having to deal with it. And that comes out in his sort of darker humor.
He's incredibly aggressive. He's incredibly reactive.
He is. Well, there's even a scene, and it makes me laugh every time I see it, but they're trying to sneak through like in the under whatever they're called, the sewers, and one of them doesn't want to go in, and Chopper pushes him in, and as he's looking down, he almost looks like he's disappointed that they're still alive. Like he's just got a slight disappointment that the meatbag's still alive. Darn it.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's one of those characters that definitely hates biologicals. Because he hates like
them. He tolerates
these very well.
Except his family. You've got to be part of his family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that
yeah, there's a reason we call him Murder Droid.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just picked up we can kind of a nice segue into, I think, one of the biggest morals messages that you have in Star Wars is family.
The person sorry.
The franchise, yeah.
My co-host always quotes "found family fighting fascism," the 4 F's of Star Wars. So it's
It's
pretty basic tenet of most of the properties.
Yeah. I mean, it's family. Hope is another big one.
I have a note about that too. But I didn't.
We lost Brian.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He said he'll be right back.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Did he send something in? Oh, he did.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Hope. I mean, that the very first Star Wars is called A New Hope.
Right, but I mean, but the hope gets threaded in throughout. Like each of the characters has a level of hope. Like when we meet Anakin, his hope is to get out of slavery. When we meet Padme, her hope is to free her people from the Trade Federation's blockade. When we meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, he hopes that they don't have to deal with Jar Jar Binks a whole heck of a lot. When we meet Jar Jar Binks, he hopes that he doesn't get run over by a tank. Hope is threaded throughout in big and small ways.
Yeah.
And I say that flippantly, but at the same time, it's a consistent thread, because one of the things that we see going through the prequel trilogy as we merge into the original trilogy is that you have these hopes that are put in front of the characters, and those hopes get dashed, and they have to kind of change what their ultimate goal is. Like for Obi-Wan Kenobi, he had no intention of ever becoming a master as soon as he did. Mm-hmm. He had no intention of teaching anybody. In fact, his reference to Anakin is taking on another pathetic life form. Like, you could see there's a level of arrogance to him. He's not in the mood for dealing with this kind of nonsense. Whereas Qui-Gon's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I always think it's interesting to note that the hope that Luke Skywalker has when we meet him is he hopes he gets to be an Imperial pilot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he wants to be a pilot. Whether or not he actually wants to work with the Empire is another matter.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting sight, because people at his level in the galaxy had largely been told that the Empire is a good thing. Like, if you live in a dirt poor section of the country, and some of you may have experienced this, it seems that the worse off people are, the more fans they are of a strong government that will protect them.
Right. Well, but I mean, there's that line of dialogue when Obi-Wan is encouraging him to go to Alderaan, where he's like, "It's not like I love the Empire, I hate it." He flat out says he hates the Empire. But to your credit, though, Brian, he does want to join up with the
go to the academy.
He wants to go to the academy because it gets him off the rock. It gets him off.
And there's I think there's that deleted scene with where he's talking with his friend, and he even alludes to the idea because they talk about the rebellion, about the idea of, you go to the academy and then you take some courses and then you hop on and head out.
You're in a war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Having been a military recruiter, I consider that is still a tactic where he was like, oh yeah, just do a couple of years, you'll get some skills, get right out. Two friends of mine joined the military with that exact mindset. Like, I'm going to join the military, get training, and then I'll get out and I will apply this training to a civilian job and I won't be in the military. Both of them, field artillery mechanics. A lot of civilian field artillery to work on out there. Not so much. They did 25 years each.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting how even through some of the more darker properties that they've had in Star Wars, i.e. Andor, that hope is still threaded throughout that series.
Rebellion is built on hope.
Where have I heard that before? That's a good line. They should put that in a movie.
A few times.
But also, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. On the Andor vein, after watching it, I reread Catalyst and Rebel Rising, and two great books. And Rebel Rising is all about Jyn losing her hope. It is beaten out of her. And it's like, personally, I relate to that. If you do the same thing that you're really wanting and you're not getting any success, any forward momentum, hope starts to become your enemy and not your friend. Mm-hmm. But by the end, she finds her hope again at the last page of the book. It starts to light up that tiny little fire inside of her again. And then right now I'm reading one of the last books of the High Republic, and in it, Yoda says that risk must ever be the companion of hope. And I think that's actually quite profound, that hope does require vulnerability and risk. And you see that time
Yoda
and
has
time
some
again.
good lines that I really ring with me as a father. I have a 7-year-old child, and one of my favorite lines from the sequel trilogy is Yoda saying, "We are what they grow beyond." Mm-hmm. And that's, I think any parent would agree. Like, I want my daughter to have a better life than I had, and I had a pretty good life. I mean, it's not over yet, but I had a great childhood. I want her to have a better childhood,
and that's a hope that you have.
Yes, and
I've
never understood the concept of like, well, kids shouldn't get free lunches. I never got free lunches, and I turned out fine. Did you? Because you're arguing about feeding children. It doesn't seem like you did turn out fine. Yeah. And I've asked people this in conversation, both online and in person. Do you really want your experience to be the absolute cap on what anybody else can have? Like, I get that you didn't have that and you were fine, but what if your kid did have? How much better would you be if you'd had the resources that we now wish to allocate? So yeah, that line that you just quoted, man, I've not read that novel, but that's a really good one. I also, by the way, loved Catalyst. I think James Luceno is way underrated.
I hear his praises all over the place. That's interesting.
I am Facebook friends with James Luceno, Amanda, and I love touting that as sort of a little bit of clout. And if anybody ever doubts it, I will send a screenshot of the message I sent him as soon as he approved my friend request, where I thank him for writing Darth Plagueis and explain that his book inspired me to start doing cosplay seriously, and the audiobook inspired me to do voice acting and get into like real character work, and I've had a great time of it. And Amanda, nothing says you're a close friend with somebody like a 9-year unread Facebook message. So pretty tight. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to touch on
based on that. I'm close friends with Hugh Jackman. Then
there you go.
Right.
Little side note, I forgot to mention when we were talking astromechs. Did you guys know that the Industrial Automaton Manual for the astromech advises regular memory wipes? And it says it says developing a personality is a risk if you do not follow this. That's what
really
I was so excited in Rogue One. We were supposed to see C2B5, an Imperial astromech. and I had this whole like, oh, we're gonna see an astromech with personality and character, but he's also Imperial, like it was going to be a whole Dwight and Jim situation between him and R2. Not so much, but that's
I know. I'm on the Patreon side of things on my podcast, but over on our main feed, they had a whole discussion about droid rights. So,
that's interesting. We can do a whole episode on that one, but I do want to touch on this one. The guys have heard me say this, Amanda, but you're new, so welcome to my shtick. In Return of the Jedi, there is a Gonk droid being branded.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who installed pain receptors on that droid? Like, why do we need to be able to hurt the droid? I think that's funny. And I saw something similar that reminded me of that. It was a T-shirt I saw at an airport that said, "Always remember, behind every robot that goes evil, there was an engineer who installed red LED lights in his eyes just in case."
Yes.
One thing I want to touch on is, and especially in the movies, the movies, especially the original trilogy, are very much a black and white, good versus evil. And I was just watching after having just watched Andor, and there's a lot of gray in that, but you still get that very black and white. And ironically, it's from what was his name? He was the guy that was always after Andor. I cannot remember his name.
Who was after?
That was chasing him.
Cyril Karn.
Cyril, yeah.
He saw the world in a very black and white,
Mm-hmm.
good versus evil. But in his mind, it was reversed. The Empire was good, and the rebels were evil. But he still saw it in that very black and white. And we've talked about this before, how you counteract that of this guy who has a very, in a lot of ways, has a very strong moral center. He sees the world in very black and white terms, good versus evil. And then you compare that to Luthen, who we've talked about this like this several times, is a horrible human being. He is just despicable in every sense of the word.
I am a Luthen defender. Anyway.
Well, anybody who believes that they are morally right based on subjective values can take absolutely any action, and in defense of that, say, I'm doing the right thing because I'm a good guy. And we see that in real life. We see it in Star Wars. It's the same distinction that you're describing, Mark, between terrorist and freedom fighter. They are the same person, but the dialogue is being written by a different angle.
Yeah.
Talk about Andor. Cassian Andor's best friend is who?
K2SO.
K2SO. Where did he get K2SO?
He stole him.
K2SO is a kidnapped Imperial officer who has been brainwashed into serving the rebellion. That exact story told in reverse would be a great movie. Imagine the Empire kidnaps a rebel intelligence officer and tortures them, literally reprograms their brain to serve the Empire against the rebels. You could write a whole movie about rescuing this guy. Not us, though. We're just like, yay, brainwashing and torture. Speaking of droid rights, Amanda.
That's quite literally the exact plot of Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Exactly. Although, God help us if we cast Sebastian Stan as something else. Hey, Sebastian, can you play a sleepy concussion victim again? Oh, good, thanks. Not a fan. Why is it every time Chris Evans gets in a movie, he brings his boring friend Sebastian Stan with him? You don't get a +1, Evans. Sorry, my little soapbox. I think that you're absolutely right about the black and white, Garrett. I love seeing that, and what I have thus far seen of Andor is the gray areas there. But yeah, they're very clearly the Empire are faceless automatons dressed head to toe in armor, led by an evil Death Knight.
Okay, so what's interesting about that is Sarah, my co-host Sarah and I just finished watching it. She for the first time. We finished today, and we both commented on how not sympathetic but relatable some of these Imperial officers are. Like Partagaz is an amazing leader. Dedra is very good at her job, but like a dog with a pit bull with a toy. You know, like she can't let go. Bulldog, whichever breed.
That's most of them actually. One of my favorite aspects of Imperial storytelling is when we meet Imperials who are good people.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the military is there to destroy people.
And the one thing I wish they would do, and I think there's a tendency when you're doing stories like that, when you run into good Imperials, is eventually they'll turn to the light side.
Exactly.
Eventually and I would like to see a story where that doesn't happen, where you have an Imperial, because you saw Callus. Eventually, Callus, you find out Callus isn't that bad of a guy. Oh, he becomes a rebel. The
most effective military leaders I ever served under were ones who motivate you. Not do this not because I told you to do it. Do this because this is what we need to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
And at some point, the Empire is shown to reward nothing so much as loyalty.
Yeah.
But at some point, you got to figure somewhere in the Empire, there is a ship full of people who just think their captain is the best and like he really looks out for us and not a good liberty time. And like I had a captain in the Navy, Amanda, who would, when he saw something cool from the pilot house, he would tell us, "Hey guys, on board this Independence, this is the captain speaking. You guys might want to come take a look at this." And there's like a pod of whales swimming alongside us. Like that's not what you would think of, like in an active combat situation, like the commanding officer's like, "Hey, you guys, look at the whales. Come on up, man. Let's go." So I am enjoying that aspect of seeing Imperials at work in Andor.
There's I wouldn't even know what his rank was, but the leader in Gorman, a bunch of young recruits come in, and their captain is very concerned about them. They're totally green, and he reads the situation in the room. They are cannon fodder, and they become cannon fodder, and he knew that's what they were going to be from the very minute they got there. And you could tell that he cared, but he couldn't do anything about it. And I really liked that one small character. He ends up dying, but just the facial act. Anyway, it was just a good, you could tell he was a good person, maybe signed up for the wrong job. But he didn't know
once
that.
we're into the breach situation.
Well, there's in the season 1 when they're doing the heist, where they're trying to break in, and they capture the, I don't know if you call him the governor or the head of the facility and his family, and it shows everything from a different, like we see these Imperials as faceless automatons. And now we as the audience and them as the rebels there are face to face with not only this Imperial officer, but his wife and his kid, his family. It turns the whole thing around, and right there you've created a lifelong Imperial sympathizer in that boy, because he saw the rebels murder his father.
Well, technically, they didn't murder him. He just died of a heart attack. But they stressed him out enough.
There's a nuance that an orphan might not get.
That boy's not going to be able to see the difference. And I've said this.
Well, to be fair, he had a heart attack.
I think I've told this story. I told this story before to these guys, but there's a fan film that I watched. It's just a short one, and it's about 4 stormtroopers. And they're getting ready to go down to Jeddah. Not Jeddah. I can't think of the planet. It's the planet that Rey is all from.
Jakku. Not Tatooine.
They're ready. Yeah, they're getting ready to drop down onto Jakku for their final battle. And each one of them is telling about why they signed up. And one is like, "Oh, it was for the money. It's like, I need some money. It's good pay." Another one was like, another one was like, "You're raw, Imperial, yeah." And each one is giving, and they asked the final one. He's just kind of quiet, and he's like, "Why did you sign up? What's your story?" And he said, "My brother was on the second Death Star." And I'm like, "Oh,
I love that."
Yeah, he's like that. He's like, "My brother was on the second Death Star. He served in." And I think he even said his job was just like just basic maintenance. And but the last
there's a whole scene in Clerks about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, classic.
I think that's an emerging theme in more current Star Wars, is how, I don't want to say good people do bad things. That's not really what I'm aiming for, but just why the Empire rose to the power that it did. And how
and that, I mean, think about, I mean, if you go back to early 20th century, I mean, think about the things that were done, you know, with the right intentions, but for the wrong organizations. And I mean, like, there are entire, you know, government structures from the early 20th century that come to mind. There are a great case in point is Benedict Arnold. You know, if you know your military history, Benedict Arnold was an American colonist. He lived here. His family was here, but he sided with the British monarchy. He sided, and he was. I mean, now the name Benedict Arnold is synonymous with being a turncoat.
And as a history nerd, if you really go and you look at Arnold's history, he could have been one of our greatest generals. You read about the Battle of Saratoga. He injured him. He almost lost his leg, saving his men, leading them personally in a charge against the British.
Right.
Losing almost losing his leg in the process, and the higher ups treated him like crap. They thought he was swindling money from them. They didn't give him the respect that he thought he was in, and as a result, he was driven to side with the British
because they were willing to show him some level of respect.
Yeah. Also because he was a law-abiding citizen. Like the rebellion was against the law. At some point, the pyramid of morality has been largely discredited, but I'm going to stand by it on this one. Like if nothing else, he's obeying the law by being loyal to England. But you know what? There's never been an authoritarian government that was deposed by peaceful protest.
That's true. I do want to say, we're talking about this whole idea of good people doing bad things. When this is back in the mid 90s, there was a video game called TIE Fighter.
Yeah, there was.
One of my favorite videos. I love TIE Fighter. I love the entire X-Wing series.
Vector graphics.
Oh yes, but in the version of TIE Fighter that I got, it came with a little novella about this TIE Fighter character, and the backstory they had for him was just really cool about why he joined the rebellion. And the backstory was he was a part of a swoop bike gang on this planet that had been racked with civil war for decades. And the Empire comes in and basically says, knock it off, or we're going to make you knock it off. So in his mind, he sees the Empire as someone who saved his planet, who came in and, restored order, restored peace. That's why he joins the Empire. Wait,
did he join the Empire or did he join the rebellion? Because you said a moment ago they joined the rebellion.
Oh, sorry, I meant the Empire. He joined the Empire.
Okay, I got
TIE Fighter pilot. Yeah. No,
TIE Fighters are so disposable in every space combat scene. That is at least a lieutenant commander flying that ship. Like that's 5 to 6 years of training destroyed in one shot.
And what's funny is when him and his buddy, go in, is they both have the same kind of response to what each one of them has decided to do. When one said he wants to be a TIE Fighter pilot, the other guy who's going to be a stormtrooper is basically like, "Are you insane? Are you suicidal?"
I thought, Mark, I thought you were going to say, and I think they should redo it. I thought one of those stormtroopers was going to say that his planet was invaded by the Empire and he was pressed into service as a child. Like that, he didn't choose this.
There's that too.
No.
I like yours better, but there's definitely there's one or two out there who did not exactly enlist. And Amanda, the guys will tell you one of my favorite side characters in the saga is the Imperial recruiter on Corellia.
Solo.
When Solo meets him, because this is a man who's surrounded by propaganda. He's the Imperial March is blaring all around him. He is completely bored by the whole situation. And when he meets a prospective applicant who does not have the correct paperwork, he immediately falsifies it. And I have never felt so seen. You know, like I spent 3 years recruiting for the Navy. Like, so you don't have that? Oh, well, you know what? Maybe we'll find it. But yeah, that's one of my favorite moments. I'd love to cosplay as him, but I would almost be too on the nose.
Yeah. I think to kind of wrap things up as we're kind of reaching the hour mark here in about 15 minutes or so, is Star Wars as a redemption story. I mean, we see it ultimately in the, you know, when you look at the first 6 films, it is literally the redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Sorry, my dog's making noise.
Oh, that's fine.
That's okay. We all have small creatures that show up from time to time.
She scratches on the carpet.
Oh. But yeah, Star Wars as you know, the redemption aspect of the Star Wars story. Of, you know, unless your name is Palpatine, unless your name is Sheev Palpatine, no one is beyond redemption.
I don't know. Uncle Owen actively lied to his nephew just to keep him on the farm for a few more seasons.
But if he hadn't, Luke would have been an Imperial pilot.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I and perhaps others disliked about the sequel trilogy, is we see at the end of Return of the Jedi, the Emperor is dead, the Empire is deposed, galactic celebration. Cut to everything is still bad. Nothing. All of that had no effect at all. Instead of the Empire, we have the First Order. Like, it's all just the same stuff, and a lot of that is, you know, metatextual. They just didn't know how else to write a villain without just recreating the Empire. But that's the redemption arc, and I think that's very realistic. There's no such thing as a redemption in real life, because in real life, every story ends badly if you continue telling it. The only story that has a happy ending is the one that you stop telling, because sooner or later, everyone dies. Sooner or later, there is a fall from the grace that you obtain in the third act. So that's why plays have 3 acts and not 5.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to go back to that hope discussion.
Yeah, Brian can get a little nihilistic from time to time.
I'm just here to provide a counterpoint. I'm sorry.
Is your favorite Darth Nihilist?
No, I find him overpowered and grossly insensitive and disruptive of canon. My favorite is Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
Second only to Darth Carosis.
That's another whole episode, Amanda, but I do not care for video game characters being canonical. A video game character by definition becomes more and more and more and more and more powerful, because otherwise you wouldn't continue to play the game, and sooner or later you end up a Star Killer pulling a Star Destroyer out of space with the Force. Because
you're just jealous because Sheev Palpatine never did that.
He could have.
And yet he chose to try to eradicate everybody with Force lightning every single time.
That is a running joke with us, Amanda. The only thing that can kill Sheev Palpatine is Sheev Palpatine blasting himself with lightning, because he just can't stop. Like, yeah, this is great.
Fair.
Boy. But no, I didn't mean to go so dark on that one. But again, that's what people didn't like about the sequel trilogy, is we see that
that's the one thing we didn't like about the sequel trilogy.
We see that all the gains made in the first 6 movies meant absolutely nothing by the 7th, and
I like it more than many, and I don't disagree with that statement.
Yeah,
so
I do think going back to the whole redemption, with Vader's redemption, is that's why it was always I never understood when I'd hear people say, especially after Phantom Menace, when you have when Kylo kills Han, And I remember
Force
so many,
Awakens.
yeah, Force Awakens. And I heard so many people saying, oh, Kylo's irredeemable now. He can't be redeemed. He crossed the line. And my first thing I thought was, do we not remember the younglings? Killing children.
Killing
It's a lot
children
worse.
is. I would. Okay, I don't know if the people saying this are coming from the same background as me, but Garrett may agree with me on this, that killing your father has been a greater sin than killing children ever since ancient Greece. Like, that's just, I also thought he was irredeemable because he's a patricide. And canonically, not even in Greek tragedies, but canonically, we've only seen three other confirmed patricides. Sheev Palpatine, Vitiate, and Darth Bane all killed their father. So I'm like, oh, this new kid's in good company. I was really hoping we would see Kylo struggling against the call of the light while trying to stay on the dark side, and Rey struggling against the call of the dark side trying to stay on the light. And I wanted them to cross. I really thought it would be cool if Rey was the main villain by the third movie. And but Lucasfilm won't take my calls, and I'm not allowed within 500 yards of their property anymore. So
But in my mind, I would say stuff like, well, first of all, it's like, have we not watched Star Wars? Star Wars is all about redemption, and you have a character in Kylo, in Ben Solo, who his main driving force is to be like his grandfather. He wants to be Darth Vader, and in the end, he does. He becomes. And what he does, he follows the same path Anakin did. He falls to the dark side.
Is there a canonical work that we see the early training of Ben Solo?
I'm sure there is a book or graphic novel somewhere
Comic?
that Disney and
so.
because what we see in the movie, he seems to be unaware that Vader repented at the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he missed that lesson with Luke as his teacher. I mean,
that makes no.
Literally, the only person in the galaxy who witnessed Vader's turn to the light is your teacher, and doesn't bring it up. I mean, admittedly, Ben was hearing Vader's voice in his head by Palpatine with a voice changer, but even so, I could see how he's being told otherwise by Vader's voice through the Force. But nonetheless, he has the one person who witnessed how Vader really felt about the dark side at the end. I don't know. I think I'd be interested to see how that. I don't mean it as a critique. I would like to see how that story ended up at that point.
Yeah.
There might be a comic. I read the Kylo Ren comic, but he was already kind of in his place by then.
I've read a lot of comics. I traded in 3 full long boxes of 30 years of comics just for store credit the day Marvel published their first Star Wars comic book to come back to, and the Darth Vader, the Dr. Aphra, they're amazing. But yeah, I would love to see that happen because of the arc that we see in Kylo. I would like to see how he got so dark to come back from, because
he started listening to a lot of My Chemical Romance.
That will do it. Oh my gosh!
And then you got into Breaking Benjamin, since his name is Ben.
We met a little girl at the playground a couple of years ago whose name is October, and that's a cool name. But as I told her mom, you might want to just buy the black eyeliner now and just invest that. That is a little bitty Cure fan already. Just get prepped for that. So yeah, I would love to see the full development of Ben Solo, because the relationship between him and Luke. I don't think, and Amanda, I don't think that Luke had it in his mind to actually kill Kylo, because if you're gonna kill someone in their sleep, a lightsaber is perhaps the worst weapon you might choose. Hey, he's asleep. Do I have anything that's really loud and bright?
Right.
But that's the old joke. Voldemort couldn't kill a baby with a spell, but you also have a sharp stick. He's just a baby. Why even waste this spell anyway? Yeah,
they're pretty soft and squishy.
You can always invoke the unreliable narrator. So
true.
That's the thing too. But I think the redemption thing is interesting because for me, it makes me think of, like, I strongly believe in redemption. I think that's one of our only hopes in this world is redemption, because none of us is perfect. But what can you be redeemed from in the end? Like, how far is too far? And I think that's not anything that anybody can really answer. It's more of maybe an existential question. But,
and to add to that, Amanda, and by whom?
Right. So I think the movies are great for creating that thought, like that introspection.
Yeah. There's so many great scenes of. Well, I said we're going to end with redemption, but I think we have to end with love. I mean, to quote the, especially when you look at the original trilogy, to quote the brilliant American philosopher Huey Lewis, "It's the power of love."
Well, I understand that
You're
don't
welcome.
need money or fame or a credit card to ride that train.
Yes, the train tickets are complimentary within the local municipality.
That is.
I've also heard it sung by no less than Ewan McGregor that all you need is love.
Very true.
With Satine.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Thank you. Amanda, I think you're the only other Star Wars fan I've ever met who I think the Venn diagram of Moulin Rouge and Clone Wars fandom.
So meet more female Star Wars fans.
Okay.
And then you'll get there.
Because I made a meme years ago comparing that, and like, so she's Satine Kryze is a Duchess. Satine in the film is engaged to a Duke. There's a whole lot of overlaps. It couldn't possibly be accidental. And every time I've shared that meme, I just get nothing but like, I never saw that. Good stuff.
Yeah. But you see that with, obviously the big one is Luke's seeing the good in Vader, and that ultimately Vader's love for his son, ultimately being his. And I look at that and look at Luke's story and I honestly have to say Luke is my favorite character at this moment in my life. I'm a huge Luke Skywalker fan, and it's interesting because if you were to have asked 16-year-old me and told that when you're 47 years old, Luke Skywalker will be your favorite Star Wars character, I probably would have laughed in your face. Because I thought Luke whiny. I thought he was too white meat. He's too goody two shoes. He's too boring. And I would have said, ironically,
shouldn't that be white bread?
White bread, yeah.
Too savory.
White bread.
I don't know. Have you seen him tan in the sun? I haven't.
Yeah.
People are referred to as meat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's ironic because I would have said the same thing about Superman when I was 16 years old. He's too boring. He's too overpowered. Same thing with Luke. He's too overpowered. Now they're both two of my favorite characters. Superman is probably my favorite superhero, and Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. And it just like the way that I look at them and see them has changed. And
Mark, in that vein, how did you feel compare EU Luke to Disney canon Luke?
I honestly like Disney canon Luke. I think is a more realistic, especially when you start getting into now early on the EU Luke, Legends Luke. I like Legends Luke, but after a while he just became to be too overpowered.
So that's why I asked.
Wrong. He made no mistakes.
I kind of feel like folks who are drawn to EU Luke are in many cases Superman fans, and conversely, I like the Disney Luke because I'm more of a Batman guy. Superman and Luke are both portrayed as morally unassailable, invincible superheroes who can do no wrong and answer to no one.
Yeah,
and if that's what you love Disney Luke.
If that's what you like, I wouldn't say I think in memes like many Star Wars fans, but like I got a great one where I have Luke saying, "It's time for the Jedi to die," and then in the bottom frame is Palpatine saying, "Oh yeah, but when I say it, everyone makes a big thing about it." But I I think that Disney Luke follows the same template that he was provided by Obi-Wan and Yoda. He's met two living Jedi that both did the same thing, which is go into exile when you fail, and it's all you can do. And so, what else is he going to do? Open up a coffee shop? Like it's got a limited skill set.
Yeah, I will say my favorite line, one of my favorite lines of dialogue. If you're asking me what my favorite line of dialogue in all of Star Wars is, it's said by Luke Skywalker at the end of Jedi when he says, the line is, "I'll never join you. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi like my father before me." Every time I hear that line, I'm fist pumping the air, going, "Heck yeah, you are, Luke Skywalker."
I'm so glad we're friends, because one of my favorite lines in the dialogue in Star Wars is the line, "So be it, Jedi."
Jedi, yes, yeah. I always preface that by saying, like, and it quickly is followed by Luke getting electrocuted.
Well, all of my favorite lines by Palpatine are him proclaiming his invincibility, which is immediately proven wrong. It's fine.
Yeah. I actually have in my high school yearbook, I actually put in a Star Wars quote, and it's from Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, and the line is, "Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?"
Not bad. I like that one.
Yeah.
My senior quote was nothing fun like that. It was a Robin Williams quote. "Spring is nature's way of saying let's party."
Mine was a Nine Inch Nails quote, and I got in trouble.
Well,
Every day is exactly the same.
Sorry?
Every day is exactly the same.
No, it was from Pretty Hate Machine.
Oh, I know which one.
For our, this is kind of off topic, but for our senior quote, we tried to get it to be, "Admit nothing, deny everything, implicate others."
Blame the guy who can't speak English.
That's the CIA's motto.
That's one of my favorite Homer Simpson quotes. He says, "Well, if something goes wrong, blame the guy who can't speak English." And later in the episode, Smithers says that they can't get in the executive bathroom because that idiot Tibor lost the key.
On that note, let's wrap things.
Please don't
up.
cancel us.
No, because we have a big announcement to make later on this. We got some huge things coming up. And I don't know if we should make the announcement now or should we wait?
I think we should probably hold off for just a little bit longer.
Okay.
I agree.
That's called.
But let's definitely tease it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called.
So many office jokes right now. So many.
Yes. With that said, Amanda, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you at?
All right. I personally am on the Patreon for Clashing Sabers. I'm in charge of Patreon content. And we are a nonprofit. So every cent that comes our way goes to buying books for teachers to put them into classrooms for free, including shipping. So if you know a teacher, are a teacher, you can go to the website, which you can see here. And it's .net, by the way, instead of .com. So it's clashingsabers.net. Oh. And you can nominate a teacher, and they're pretty much guaranteed to get books. Yeah, I have been a recipient myself.
Awesome. The last time we spoke, I got in touch with you guys and got a box of books out to Willow Oak Montessori in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Awesome. Nice. I'm so glad to hear that. And then we have our main feed that has a bunch of great guys and a gal or two. No, it's really a couple girls, women, sorry. And they just talk. Ladies, there we go. They talk about anything. They've got several different things going. So it's books, a lot of book talk, and just various Star Wars topics. And they put out every week. And I try to, my goal is every month for my stuff. So
that's great.
Cool. Brian, what about yourself?
I post rather frequently, more frequently of late, on the Sith Library on Archives. Find us on Facebook, where a lovingly curated collection of Sith, Empire, and Dark Side related artwork, humor, philosophy, even some in-character discussion. I think you'll enjoy it. Come see me. I post as Darth Carosis. We have several friends out there as well, not least among them Garrett. So yeah, come see us.
All
Yep,
right.
I have my moments. Wait, did you just say Spacebook?
Spacebook.
I wasn't sure if I was like having a stroke or something, man. You kind of freaked me out.
Oh. What about you, Garrett?
As for me, you guys can connect with me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my books. The Archives of Sink Ran, a wonderful 5-book so far collection of fantasy novels. I'm working on book 6, and I'm doing all sorts of other projects as well. I'm coming up on the end of the 7th season of my show, The Right Way, on YouTube, where we talk book recommendations, author interviews, and creative writing tips. And we just had a new episode of Snackame drop this last Friday on Feast of Fandoms, and it was a lot of fun. It was a very confusing pitch about a new anime that we were talking about, but it was a fun conversation. So join me over there.
All right. As for us right here at War of the Stars, you can get a hold of us through our email that is warthestars1@gmail.com. You can also check us out on X and Instagram. That is at warthestars77. As Garrett said, we are a part of Feast of Fandoms. Check out all the shows at Feast of Fandoms, the YouTube channel. If you want to support the show, kofi.com/War of the Stars. And you can also check out our store at spreadshirt.com/shop/war-of-the-stars-. That will do it for us. Join us next week when we will be talking about the new segment on Galactic Tech, and specifically the Starfighters. Can't wait to talk about that. Obviously, until next time, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. May the Force be with you.